Hey, what's up you guys? It's Caboose bringing you another Gotham Knights video, and today what I got for you guys here is going to be my reaction to another IGN first. They are pumping out the content for this game, and I am here for it. Today's video is going to be a showcase at how skill trees work in Gotham Knights, and I'm very much looking forward to this. I want to see some of the deeper RPG elements of the game, the way that you can customize these characters, so that's what we're going to be jumping into today. But hey, before we do so, if you're looking forward to Gotham Knights, it's officially gone gold, so we're on the road to October 25th now. No more delays, nothing to worry about. We are on our way to release. Scroll down right now, hit that thumbs up button, share your excitement with me, and let's get this video to another 2,000 likes because you guys just keep on crushing it. And you guys already know, I love the way that my setup is currently. I love my camera quality, I love my mic here, and all that is thanks to Elgato. So check the link in the description box below, get yourself some Elgato products, and step up your creator game. And with that being said, let's do this. Everyone's in chat once again, hyping me up, and I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much. Let's react to how skill trees work in Gotham Knights. All right, here we go.
Gotham Knights has an unexpected philosophy at its heart. While it might be a game about 4 superheroes trying to fill the void left by a murdered Batman, the developers don't want you to feel like you're creating 4 successors. They want you to find a favorite and turn them into a single, new Dark Knight.
We always understood that there had to be a sense by the end of the story and by the end of your kind of investment in the hero that you have in some way transcended the obvious potential of this character in order to become a symbol. This is someone who I believe can fill the vacuum Batman has left behind. So that's such an essential aspect of the fantasy that we felt like there needed to be a moment where that was reflected in the ability tree, where it was reflected in the kind of RPG foundations of the game.
With that overall philosophy in mind, a game mechanic that has you constantly changing and experimenting with new techniques feels apt. Gotham Knights offers a lot of options.
Oh, I like that
regard,
skin.
from superhero suits to ability-changing gear, but it doesn't make
They
that
gotta
idea
update the
clearer
GUI
than
though.
in its skill trees.
The main abilities that you see on the ability tree are abilities that you unlock after you've earned ability points. And that's something that's a natural function of leveling up in this sort of standard RPG way. You get XP, you level up, you get some ability points, and there's, dependencies and prerequisites like you would normally see in an action RPG, but that is the gating mechanism for those abilities. You're spending points, you're deciding where you want to spend them.
Of course, with 4 different heroes, you're likely to want to experiment, and the game accounts for that without feeling like you're leaving anyone behind while not playing with them.
Obviously, we're a multi-protagonist game, and we expect that a lot of players are going to kind of identify fairly quickly that, okay, I like this hero, this character matches my style of play, I'm invested in their progression and in their evolution, I want to play that character for a long time. That said, there is there's 3 other heroes that you may decide at some point it would be interesting for you to try, and that you want to be able to jump into playing without feeling like you're being penalized or need to go back and redo a whole
this
bunch
is
of
what I
work
like.
to kind of get them advanced. So then what happens is, if you decide to switch characters, basically you now have a kind of surplus of ability points that you can go into the menu and spend. You'll sit there, you'll allocate them, you can look at the whole ability tree, you can decide what you want to have access to.
The skill trees themselves are made up of a mix of ability or stat changing upgrades, but the paths they take you down are purposely varied, allowing you to build different versions of the same hero. Batgirl can specialize in one-on-one melee combat, but she can also focus on hacking abilities or survivability. Nightwing can build on his acrobatics, but can also offer massive buffs for co-op play. Robin can improve on his preternatural talents for stealth, but he could equally work on tech that helps provide decoys or enhance elemental effects. And in this footage, we're showing off all of Red Hood's trees in their totality.
So the marksman tree is kind of self-explanatory.
Thank you, IGN.
It's really about dealing more damage at range. That skill tree focuses mostly on damage per second and rewards for shooting and rewards for taking the time to use precision aim. The brawler skill tree is about melee combat, but more importantly, it's about powering up the fact that Red Hood is our largest character, and he's got the best grab and throw mechanics in Gotham Knights. That's a really, sort of brutal hand-to-hand focused skill tree. So if you're into that style of play, it's a great place to invest early to get
You
the
got
most
knocked
upgrade.
out.
The Vengeance tree is essentially
Oh.
reflecting Red Hood's rage in different ways. He can be an intimidating character. It's sort of about leveraging parts of his personality and embodying them as abilities that allows him to be more frightening and to deal more damage against certain types of enemies that he is truly angry inside.
Very
about.
interesting.
Now, you may have noticed that there's a fourth tree on that list, Knighthood. Perhaps the most interesting
Oh.
of all the ability options, Knighthood is available for every character and represents a moment of self-actualization where your hero has worked out how they can become their own Dark Knight, rather
Okay.
than just a new Batman. Knighthood will begin to unlock after a specific point in the story, but every character will have to complete a set of unique challenges to begin earning the abilities inside.
Unlocking
that's really
the Knighthood
interesting.
tree gives you a couple of things. It unlocks the heroic traversal for that hero. So if you're Batgirl, suddenly you can glide. It unlocks your ultimate ability.
We're gonna have
for
to
Batgirl,
unlock
that's
that right
the
away.
And it unlocks the Knighthood ability tree, where you can start to add additional, very powerful mechanics to your hero that are otherwise not available to you until that point in the story.
Once you've unlocked Knighthood for one character, you don't need to go and do the story beat again for the other heroes in order to gain access to that progression.
Oh, thank God.
But you'll need to go out and do the challenges for that hero that are associated with these additional
Fair.
abilities.
Knighthood is a truly interesting combination of narrative and mechanic, a way of using traditional RPG ideas to help tell the story of Gotham Knights' budding heroes.
So literally, there is a moment where it's possible for you to kind of have this epiphany with your character, right? It can be the moment that Robin suddenly, he's like staring at the Batman shrine in the Belfry, and he's like looking at the gauntlet, thinking about the technology and how Batman used it, because he's like the most recent member of that team, and Robin's thinking to himself, wait a minute, Batman wasn't just what was in the Batcave or just what he had on his person. It was also his relationship and his connection to the bigger universe of these superheroes, right? The Justice League satellite. So that's kind of the moment where he goes, wait, I can tap into that. I can absolutely tap into that. And if I use it this way, it's going to open up a set of abilities and some ways of fighting crime. And so that first moment is what opens up his heroic traversal. It's where he goes, I can do short-range teleportation.
So you need to
these are the
find
kinds
it
of sort of thematic links that we've
through
tried to
story.
create with the Knighthood branch.
And alongside all of these skill trees is
What's this?
another
Oh,
menu
momentum
of unlockables.
abilities.
Momentum abilities. These amount to special attacks that
sick.
can be assigned to specific button combos. Many of the momentum abilities tie into the skill trees, but they're earned differently.
In the case of the momentum
That's sick.
abilities, you're getting those by engaging in challenges in the world. When you look at the momentum ability breakdown, in order to unlock that,
There's
I
a
need
cost
to
to
do
the
the
momentum,
following
too.
4 or 5 things.
The most amount of synergy between abilities in
Mystic
different
Shot,
trees
yeah.
actually happens between the momentum abilities tab and the rest of the trees. For example, Batgirl's Beatdown is a momentum ability, but can be powered up by other abilities in her tree that allow her to do it more effectively and with piercing damage, which the ability doesn't usually have at the start.
The developers' goals with all of these trees isn't just to tack on RPG mechanics to an action game, but to provide a legitimate sense that your heroes are growing, learning, and changing
like
throughout the
it.
course of
I'm
Gotham
interested.
Knights' story. As a player, you're being asked to help create your own versions of those heroes, and the team doesn't want you to simply be able to fill out an entire skill tree on your first playthrough, encouraging you instead to pick and choose carefully.
If you're playing through Gotham Knights in a regular way, so I'm going after all of the main story arcs and I'm fighting the villain arcs, I will have unlocked most but not all of the skill tree. So your choices are always going to matter at least as far as what it takes for you to beat the story. I think players will and probably should mix and match to get the best out of
I had a feeling that was going to be recommended.
We know that players will choose ability clusters as we've arranged them in the trees because they are excited about
your
an
skill
individual
points?
ability. But there is a lot of synergy between
That's
trees.
what I wondered.
And also you kind of have to experiment to find out what you really like. So I do expect that players will mix and match quite a lot.
If you want to know more about Gotham
Okay.
Knights, we have got tons for you in this month's IGN First campaign, including the first 16 minutes of
The
gameplay
UI
and how Gotham
definitely
brand new
needs
cities with 400
work,
years of
and I don't know if it's going to get much of a change. Well, let's jump back when the 4K one is uploaded. Give me a second here. Okay, so now that we've jumped back in, I don't think there's going to be a 4K version. I've refreshed the page and it's only in 1080p, which is fine. So immediately right off the bat, obviously you can tell that there are several skill trees here, and then there's the Knighthood skill tree, which is unlocked through challenges specific to the character, and sometimes can be related to something as simple as Robin checking out Batman's cowl and gauntlet that are available to look at in the Belfry. So I'm very interested in seeing what these potential challenges are going to be. I love that they mentioned here that your skill points carry between characters. So if you got up to 15 skill points with Red Hood and you've allocated all of them, then you want to play as maybe Batgirl, you'll jump over to Batgirl and 15 skill points will be available for Batgirl for you to allocate to her skill tree. And then you'll have to unlock her Knighthood skill tree by doing those challenges. So I think that that's really interesting. Again, I do agree that the UI needs some work here. I think it looks a little better from when we last saw it, but I think that this is just a little too basic for me. I kind of would have liked maybe just an image of the city in the background, something more Batman-esque, you know, akin to the key art for the game, the cover art for the game. This look for Red Hood is insane, though. I think this is a part of the Oni set, but with some customizations in there, and holy smokes, that is ridiculous. And yeah, there's a leveling system in the game. There's ability points that you can allocate to specific skill trees, whether it's the Marksman, Brawler, or the Vengeance skill tree for Red Hood. The Vengeance one that we haven't heard much about until this video here. We saw a bit of the Marksman and the Brawler skill trees in the video that they uploaded earlier in the week, which you can check out on the channel. But yeah, so I'm interested in seeing all of this stuff. And I do wonder how far it is in the game when you unlock the heroic traversal, because when I'm playing as Batgirl, I want to glide like right away. I want to start gliding right away. For Red Hood, I could take it or leave it. Maybe I won't even explore the Knighthood skill tree, so I don't have to do the Mystic Leap. I'm not the biggest fan of the Mystic Leap. But yeah, when it comes to just the RPG mechanics, when it comes to that customization, your ability to be able to try and make these characters feel like your own, but also to have these characters become their own Dark Knight. They're not necessarily going to be the next Batman, but they're going to enter the Knighthood. They're going to be the new protector of Gotham City. So it has that bit of heir to the cowl sort of vibe to it, which is very interesting to me. And yeah, overall, like some of the skill points that you can do, or some of the different abilities that you can unlock, what it was showing here. I mean, we only got a look at Red Hood's skill tree. Interesting stuff. Like some of it's just to increase damage by 10% doing this, or increase defense by 50% doing this, or whatever it might be. So nothing that seems too complex based on what I got at first glance. I'll have to analyze the video a little more and get a good look at some of the different skill points and the things that you can do. So for instance, you know, increases Red Hood's critical damage by 20%. This is in the Marksman tree, which is obvious. I mean, you're going to be using the guns, so the critical damage would be increased. Like that's something that I think would be obviously helpful. This one right here, Red Hood performs a perfectly timed evade that generates momentum and allows for a perfect attack follow-up. So that's interesting as well, doing kind of a perfectly timed evade to get a big attack on the enemies. I think that's interesting. I'm still wondering if there's a counter mechanic of any kind in this game. I've fingers crossed that that's a thing. I really don't know. But yeah, all of this stuff I'm intrigued by. And you can actually see, if we look in the Vengeance skill tree, this sort of unlimited ammo thing for the pistols. So I wonder if the pistols have sort of an ammo sort of counter, and you have to reload after a certain amount of time. But if you go into the Vengeance skill tree and unlock that skill point, or that ability, you'll have unlimited ammo for Red Hood's guns, which I'm sure would be very useful in combat. All of this stuff intrigues the hell out of me. I love going deep into RPGs like this. I'm a big fan of games like Borderlands, which aren't necessarily hardcore RPGs, but have those RPG elements, have those different skill trees similar to what they're doing here in Gotham Knights. So I'm definitely interested in this. I understand it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but it works for me. The only thing that I will agree on, that I'm sure a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of, is the UI. I think it is a little lazy. I think it's a little uninspired and definitely needs a little bit of work. But the gameplay looks solid to me. It looks like a lot of fun. That part got me really good there, actually. When Red Hood tossed this dude into the wall and they just passed out. That was pretty good there. I like that. So it increases grab damage by 10%. Grabbing an enemy prevents Red Hood from being attacked. Detonating the concussion mine. Red Hood inflicts 10% more damage on enemies with 30% health or less. Is that what that said there? With 30% health or less. So that's interesting. Grabbing an enemy prevents Red Hood from being interrupted by most attacks. I like that as well. Increases damage and radius of the concussion mine explosion. lots of stuff that you can do here. And yes, it was also mentioned in this video that you're gonna pretty much be able to max out a skill tree by the end of the game, and I'm assuming that'll also sort of coincide with and include the Knighthood skill tree, which should, to my understanding at least, or what I think should happen, should be something that absolutely gets filled out hook or by crook. No matter how many skill points you allocate in the game, you have enough to get the Knighthood skill tree maxed out, because that's, it's the Knighthood, you know, you're becoming the knight, step into the night, as it were. So I hope that there'll be able to be an opportunity to max that out no matter what. And then yes, they mentioned, Jeff Eleanor mentioned, that you can pretty much max out one skill tree if you were to dedicate specifically to that from beginning to end of the game. But what they recommend is that you mix and match. You can throw in different things from different skill trees to make the character feel your own, but also to maximize the potential of the character, which is something that I'm absolutely going to be doing. But what I really wonder and what I really hope for, and I can't really tell when I'm looking here, so hopefully there's something in the full game when we get our hands on it, is something to be able to reset your skill points. I want to be able to say, okay, you know what? This build isn't working for me. I got to try something new. Let me start from scratch. Let me reset all my skill points and allocate them elsewhere. You know, I don't want it to be that, okay, I got to just pay really close attention here to what everything does and be very careful with the choices that I make. The fun of an RPG is that you can mix and match your choices, or you can change your mind later on in the story. If something's not working out for you, you know, if halfway through the game I'm like, Brawler Red Hood just isn't working for me, I think I got to go for the Marksman. I need a little bit more of that range. Let me reset my skill points, dedicate a bit more of my points to the Marksman skill tree, and put a little less in the Brawler, because that's not doing me any favors. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, the game is gone gold, so October 25th cannot get here soon enough. And with that being said, now I want to kick it to you guys. Sound off with your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about the skill trees in Gotham Knights? What do you think about the different abilities that you can unlock, the way the Knighthood works? I want to hear all your thoughts in the comment section below. And of course, if you enjoyed today's video, if you could consider hitting that thumbs up button, it would show your support, and I would really appreciate it. I'm Caboose, and you can click on screen to make your way to one of the other videos on the channel, or you can click my logo to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Those links are in the description. Drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a comment if you have an opinion, and subscribe if you're new. See you guys later.